Back here on CBS Sports HQ, On the Clock, presented by Jeep. And Johni Broome didn't have to wait too long to hear his name called. He goes 35th overall to the Philadelphia 76ers SEC Player of the Year. He was in the running for National Player of the Year. That, of course, went to Cooper Flagg, who went #1 overall. This is the landing spot where a lot of people thought that Johni Broome would go. Your grade for this, the 76ers and Johni Broome?
You know, it's a B+. I mean, it's all right. Yeah, he's got a chance to make the team. I'm happy for Johni Broome because coming out of Morehead State, went to Auburn, had an amazing college career, exceeded all the expectations, and now he's got a chance to do the same thing in the NBA. We talked about this in the opener. He's not your traditional NBA caliber athlete. He doesn't have the mobility of an NBA caliber big man. What he's done at Auburn is expand his skill set to the point where he can play in NBA actions. He can play out of dribble handoffs. He can play out of short rolls. Those were things he couldn't do a couple years ago, even when he was putting up monster double-doubles. So his game translates better offensively in the NBA now than it did. Can he defend an NBA center? Can he defend an NBA pick and roll? Can he provide rim protection at the NBA level? Those are questions that we're going to have to answer. But in Philadelphia, where you need some depth and you need some big bodies because you never know what Embiid's status is, this is worth the risk in the second round.
But aren't you concerned about his injury history as well? And you already have injury history here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, he's had some of that stuff, but it always cuts both ways. Zach Edey had no injuries at Purdue in 4 years of college.
Yeah, good point.
And is now going to have to miss the start of the upcoming season because he's had multiple injuries with his ankles since becoming a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm less concerned about that than I am just like, how does he stay on the floor in the NBA? Incredible college player, incredible story. Let's just keep this very simple before we nitpick it to death. When you start your college career at Morehead State and then you're the 35th pick in an NBA draft, that is amazing.
Fair.
He should be very proud of this accomplishment. But now we start talking about where does it go from here. And I don't doubt that he can operate within the confines of an NBA offense. He does know how to play. On the defensive end, my concerns would be who does he guard and what happens when he gets switched on to smaller players because he doesn't move well. He doesn't jump much. He's a great college player, but a flawed NBA prospect. Not every franchise would take him in the top 35, but for a place like Philadelphia, I kind of understand it. They are not using this pick to try to identify somebody they can get in at 19 years old, develop, and see where they're at in 2028. They're trying to push for it next season. In theory, in a perfect world, healthy Joel Embiid, healthy Paul George, healthy Tyrese Maxey, that roster is good enough to win the Eastern Conference. And what they're hoping is that Johni Broome, regardless of how high his ceiling is or isn't, they're hoping he can be a part of helping them do that next season. Would
you be willing to say that this could be a steal for Philadelphia, considering his ceiling?
Anything could be on draft night. I'll say that it could be, sure. I think that's unlikely. I think he could be a long-term NBA player if he is willing to grind it out and be that rugged backup, candidly, maybe third-string big. I will also say this. I would have taken Maxime Reynaud.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
Yep.
Because he's on the board, a big guy, and you skip him for Johni Broome. So you kind of have questions.
And he's a 7-footer who can shoot from 3, so he could back up Embiid, or he could also theoretically play next to him. The other point I'll make here, too, is Andre Drummond is in the last year of his contract. He's the backup center. There's been speculation that maybe they're trying to move off his contract. If they do that, now Johni Broome is your backup behind Joel Embiid, who's not reliable. I would have taken Reynaud.
And that's a completely fair point. I would have taken Reynaud as well. But on the night of the draft, everybody has strong opinions, and I'm always open-minded enough to try to let these things play out before I speak in absolutes. Once upon a time, if I'd have been sitting in a studio, and I might have, actually, during the night of the draft that T.J. McConnell could have been picked in, I would have told you, if you brought up T.J. McConnell for any reason, well, that's not an NBA player. and I could have broken it down and sounded really smart. And then I just watched him in Game 7 have a franchise in position to maybe try to steal an NBA title on the road. So the TJ McConnell lesson is a lesson for all of us. Sometimes people don't look like they can play in this league, perform in this league, and they end up sticking around for 10 years. Perhaps that's the Johni Broome story, but back to Reynaud, to me that would be the better fit because he at least projects more of a modern NBA player than Johni Broome does at this point in their careers.